The Queen saw her eldest son leave 12 members of the family bleeding and dying on the billiard room floor. As he disappeared into the dark of the palace gardens, she ran after him, followed by her youngest son, Prince Nirajan.
I heard the shots outside, and 2 bursts and 2 single shots. And then maybe I sort of passed out from a loss of blood.
Much too late, the military aides at their posts inside the palace finally took some action. They rushed the bodies of the dead and dying royal family through Kathmandu's traffic-clogged streets, past the monarchy's oblivious subjects. But by the time the chaotic convoy reached the army hospital, King Birendra was already dead. The mass carnage astounded even the most experienced doctors.
He showed me a body and says, "This is Her Majesty." And I couldn't believe the whole head was split into literally 2 halves in the top part, and she was lifeless. Next he showed me Prince Nirajan, horrendous injuries. He was also gone.
The Queen's body had been found on the 7th step of the staircase leading to her son's bedroom. Dipendra was still breathing when he was brought into hospital. He had a single 9mm bullet wound to the head. The doctors prepared to do the best they could.
And one could say it was a penetrating injury running from one temple to the other. And the entry wound was on the left and the exit was on the right. This sort of injury is compatible both ways. It could be suicidal, it could be homicidal.
As light came to Kathmandu on the morning of June the 2nd, it became clear that a comatose murderer was next in line to the throne.
At 9 o'clock, when I reassessed the Crown Prince, he had in fact improved to the extent that he was moving his limbs, trying to breathe, and this medical fact had tremendous importance politically for the country and what course of action they had to take.
Nepalese mourned as their leaders, seemingly paralyzed by the horror of events, clung to tradition and protocol.
Suputra, Raj Gaddi, Uttradikari, Sripas, Yuvraj Dhiraj, Dipendra Veer Vikram Sahadev, Vikram Sambat, 2058 साल ज्येष्ठ 19 गते रोज 6 का दिन 6 देखि नेपाल अधिराज्यको श्री 5 महाराजाधिराज भइबक्सेको घोषणा गर्दछौं।
I still refer to him as a crown prince. I will never refer to him as king. First of all, he actually committed treason. If you shoot a king, it's high treason by any accounts according to our law. The natural course of justice would have been like it would have done to me. He would have to be put behind bars.
Maybe there was a reason that they named him king, but to me I felt betrayed.
The injuries King Dipendra had inflicted upon his mother were so bad the remains of her head had to be covered with the face of a china doll.
Well, I was still pretty drugged at that time, but I heard the national anthem and I knew that they'd be taking them away. And I'm glad I was partly unconscious at that time, because the wound was still very raw at that time, physically and mentally, and it would have been very hard to face that.
As his victims were mourned, the young woman King Dipendra had intended to make his queen went into hiding.
I don't think that she could believe that he could do something like this at all, ever. It was difficult for her, to know that he was alone in a hospital room. She would have wanted to be with him, but it wasn't. I don't think that it would have been possible.
Devyani was no less a victim of that event than the people who were actually killed. She was, in some ways you can say she was lucky to escape alive. But the psychological toll that it took upon her obviously was very deep. That will remain a burning scar in her inner consciousness.
Fearing for her life, Devyani fled Nepal. She has not yet returned to her homeland. The reign of her lover will surely be remembered as one of the shortest and strangest in history. King Dipendra was finally declared dead at 3:45 a.m. on June the 4th, 2001. His uncle, Gyanendra, became Nepal's third king in 3 days. Riots broke out as many in Nepal refused to believe that a son, let alone a crown prince, could kill his parents. The streets were brutally cleared in time for yet another state funeral. As Dipendra's body was sped towards the sacred cremation ground, many wondered how the mind of a crown prince could have deteriorated into that of a killer without any restraints being placed upon him or help being offered to him.
Obviously, who is going to be the head of the state in future? One expects a perfect personality. It's all, media expects them to be perfect, people expect them to be perfect. If there is some weakness in the personality exposed outside, that is not going to help them. To declare that the future king had psychiatric problem, it has got very serious implications indeed.
These photographs were taken on the last day of Dipendra's life. They show the face of a young man born to be revered as a demigod, torn apart by a conflict between his earthly wishes and the impossibility of fulfilling ancient royal traditions in a modern world. Perhaps because of protocol in a medieval-style court, the political implications of instability within a palace, or because of a family's inability to recognize the flaws in their eldest son, a royal dynasty was blown away and a nation's belief in itself shattered.
I was sorry that such a young man should die such a death, and also feeling sorry for him that what sort of dreams we had for him. I was also sorry that he should perform such a heinous crime, and frankly, I was praying that God should have pity on him.